Last night, another tough one. Mike Leake pitched into the 7th inning, working on a shutout, and had tremendous bullpen work behind him. The lone run of the game came on a base hit by Brandon Phillips, plating Leake, who had doubled, and that would be the only run of the night. Jumbo Diaz, Jonathan Broxton, and then the big man, Aroldis Chapman, cleaning things up, fanning all 3 batters in the ninth. The 7-game skid is over. So now can the Reds build on that? It is a beautiful, hot summer day in Cincinnati, and we welcome you to Great American Ballpark, the series finale. Reds needing a win today to make it a split in the 4-game set. And hi again, everybody. Alongside the Cowboy, Jeff Brantley and Jim Day, I'm Tom Brenneman. Great to have you with us. Hope you're having a terrific Sunday afternoon. That win last night, Brandon Phillips said it after the game, Cowboy. Oh, as you said, Billy.
You got it.
They needed it.
If there was any doubt, Tom, that Brandon Phillips is back, he showed it last night. Why the Reds need him in the lineup. Starting defense. Now, we know he's got all the gold gloves in the world, but not only did he catch that ball, but he caught it in traffic with a right fielder coming right in on top of him. His left hand is the one that was hurt, and he got hit on the right hand last night. So now both hands are hurting, and it's not as though he was 100% anyway. And he's still able to do this. That was the lone Reds run last night after Mike Leake singled. That is getting it done.
Well, he'll be trying to get it done today against a man he called his teammate for many, many years, the Reds ace, during some down seasons. And my, is he pitching well this year in Aaron Harang.
He really is, Tom. And it's not as though he's throwing the ball 100 miles an hour. Harang does it all by location and deception. And he owns the downside away from his arm on the outside part of the plate. Whether it's a left-hander, whether it's a right-hander, he's going to stay right there. The one thing about Aaron Harang, it doesn't matter if he walks the first guy or the second guy. He's going to get to a guy that he knows he can get out.
Meanwhile, Alfredo Simon has had a rough stretch since the All-Star break, although Cowboy, it looked like he threw the ball a little better his last time out.
I thought so too, Tom, and I think a lot of it has to do with the off-speed pitches. We've talked about the curveball. We've talked about the split finger. Simon's still throwing the ball 95 miles an hour, but the key is the off-speed pitches to make that fastball that much better.
You know, it's funny. We had a shutout here yesterday, and all of a sudden what is known as a hitter's paradise, with all the great pitching the Redlegs are running out there, it's becoming a pitcher's park. Jim Day has more on that when we return.
Ohio is brought to you by your local Ford dealer. Ford, go further. By Cincinnati Regional Tourism Network. Stay close to CincinnatiUSA.com. And by Skyline Chili. Feeling good? It's Skyline time.
For the Reds game, players and fans, it is going to be a hot one, hot and muggy. Temperatures make their way up to about 90 degrees toward the end of the game. You can see there we start off in the mid-80s, but it's the humidity going to make it feel like we're in the mid-90s. Partly cloudy to mostly cloudy skies. There's a slim chance for a quick shower or thunderstorm, but overall, I think we are going to see a dry game. Just have to deal with the heat. Let's see if we can do it again. Let's go, Reds.
I'm Jim Day on the field. Certainly going to be a boiler here at Great American Ballpark. Perhaps the ball will be flying. It certainly wasn't last night. It was another rare 1-0 game here at Great American Ballpark, and a monumental one at that. It was the 100th shutout at GABP, 15 this season, and just 17 games in over the 12-year, 900-plus game history of 1-0 games. There have been 6 this season, 4 last season, and you look at what it was from 03 to 2012, so perhaps a combination of good Reds pitching and a combination of maybe PEDs out of the game of baseball, or a combination of both. Either way, the Reds will take a 1-0 victory or a 10-0 victory. Just get a W. Looking for a Sunday split. Reds and Braves are next on your home for Reds baseball. Fox Sports Ohio. Tom and the Cowboy have the lineups at first pitch next.
Cincinnati, we're just about set for baseball. The Reds and the Braves. Let's quickly take a look at Freddie Gonzalez's starting lineup today, brought to you by Meyer. Jason Hayward back in the lineup. Gosselin, the shortstop. Freeman at first. Justin Upton, Chris Johnson, Evan Gattis in the middle. Tommy Lostello, the second baseman. B.J. Upton in center. And Aaron Harang, the longtime Red, on the mound. Starting at for Cincinnati, 12-game winner Alfredo Simon. Of course, he had 12 wins at the All-Star break, which earned him a place on the National League All-Star team. Strike one, and we're underway to Hayward. Simon has not won since the All-Star break. In fact, he's had a hard time pitching deep into games and throwing the ball effectively at all. Although, Cowboy, you did think, I thought, he was a little bit better in St. Louis than he had been by and large since the break.
And I think that he was. I think the pitching effect has got to take over for Simon, and not so much power pitching.
Well, that one bounced into center field. A leadoff single by Hayward, who had the day off last night in a 1-0 Cincinnati win. Boy, how good was Mike Leake last night?
Tommy, he seems to show up every time the Reds have to have him. And you know, we talk so much about Mike Leake being a gamer, being a spot-on guy. And there was no more perfect opportunity than last night to see the battling of Mike Leake. He had to have a shutdown game, and he got it.
And for the Reds, that shut down a 7-game losing streak. They're 6 under 500 going into play today. They're 7 back in the wild card race. Atlanta, meanwhile, by losing yesterday, missing a chance to draw even with San Francisco for that second wild card spot. There you see the numbers on Leake. 2 hits, no runs. And certainly a large degree of credit for Leake getting the win last night goes to Jumbo Diaz. He walked in the game with the bases loaded and 2 outs in the 7th inning and got Tommy La Stella on what turned out to be a beautiful play by Zach Cozart. Hard hit ball. Cozart handled it, and they got the force out to end the inning.
It almost seems as though the tougher the situation you put Diaz in, the better he pitches. You almost force him to make good pitches. The times where he's given up runs are where he's had to start an inning and the game has not been real close, and that's where he's had issues.
Oh, and 2 on Goslin. He's been sharing time at second base with La Stella. Freddie Gonzalez telling us yesterday there's no doubt La Stella has more pop in that bat and he's a better hitter. He said, but that doesn't mean that La Stella is the better player. Goslin is a guy they can do a lot of things with. They can hit and run, they can bunt. He's an outstanding defender, is a good base runner. It's not a straight platoon at second base. Freddie Gonzalez said it's just how I feel on any given day as to who's going to be at second. That's on the heels of Atlanta releasing, still owed a ton of money, Dan Uggla. They owed him $19 million and told him goodbye.
It's pretty nice to be able to reach down into your system and bring up La Stella, bring up Goslin, and know that you've got options there.
Cozart, how about that play? I mean, that's as good as it gets this series by Zach Cozart. You have the National League's reigning Gold Glove Award winner at shortstop in Simmons here this weekend. Hard to believe Cowboy Simmons could be any better defensively than Cozart.
How many times do you see a shortstop make a play where the ball goes right over the top of the rubber, right by the foot of the pitcher, and yet Cozart was still able to catch the ball and make the flip to Phillips at second? That doesn't happen a whole lot.
One on, one out, and now the first baseman Freddie Freeman at .294, 17 home runs, 68 runs batted in, and there's a strike on the outside corner. Reds did a real number really on everybody. I mean, Atlanta only had 3 hits in the game, but especially on the middle part of the Braves order. Freeman 0 for 3, Upton 0 for 4, Johnson 0 for 3.
Well, however Freddie Freeman and Justin Upton go, the Braves go. You can shut those guys down more times than not. You got a pretty good chance to take on the W.
Simon, a long look in. Okay's assigned by Mesoraco, and a swing and a miss. That's a pitch they were attacking Freeman on last night. Hard down and in.
Freeman likes to get the bat head to the baseball. You'll see him cheat on that fastball in, and Simon gives him that slider down and in. Looks just like a fastball until it gets right at the plate. Those last 2 feet, that baby's headed downward.
1 ball and 2 strikes. Goslin a short lead over there at first. He has 1 steal and 2 attempts. It's another thing we've noticed about Simon. When he was pitching so well, there was certainly a little more sense of urgency with pitching on the mound in between pitches. He gets Freeman swinging there. And as these struggles have taken place, Cowboy, you would know better than I'll ever know. It seems like he is really slowed down everything.
Well, I think it's just part of how you feel physically. I mean, we're looking at a pitcher that at 153 in the third innings coming into the day, it's the most he's ever thrown in a season ever. So your body feels different. You feel like you're tired. You don't have that zip on the ball, even though the radar gun says 92 to 95, but you don't feel like it. So it affects your confidence a little bit.
Off the end of the bat, short right field, and Bruce is there, and a good start for Alfredo. He allows a hit. Got good defense for Heimdall by Cozart. Reds coming up when we return. The scoreless top half of the inning against Alfredo Simon. Brian Price's starting lineup brought to you by Meyer. Hamilton, Frazier at third, Phillips at second base, Mesoraco back behind the plate after a night off last night. Likewise for Jay Bruce in right and Ryan Ludwig in left. A ladder third of Brian Pena, Zach Cozart, Alfredo Simon. Johnny Cueto has the most quality starts of all pitchers in the National League this year. I guarantee you'd make a lot of money making bets asking people who is number 2 on that list. The answer would be Aaron Harang.
Yeah, this is a guy that the Cleveland Indians cut loose in spring training. He masters away from the batter, downside away. He will stay out there all day. If you're looking for the ball in, you'll go home looking for it in today.
Here's what we're talking about. Our IGS bringing the energy. That has been the story on Aaron Harang. 27 quality starts for Cueto. 1 less would be Aaron Harang. Tehran tied with Cueto. In fact, these two starting rotations, the Reds number 1 and the Braves number 2, have pitched the most innings among all starting staffs in Major League Baseball. Leake working 2 outs into the 7th inning last night. And the man who got beat in that game 1-0, Santana, went 7 full. 2-2 on Billy Hamilton. Billy at 267 has 44 runs batted in. And he takes low and away, ball 3. This guy Aaron Harang, Cowboy, you know better than anybody else. This guy on some bad Reds teams. Well, I mean, he gave you everything he had. Every 5 days was by far, most seasons, the best pitcher they had. There's a bouncer to short, 1 away.
Yeah, I think if you look back to 2006, Tom, he led the National League in strikeouts, led the National League in wins. and seemingly nobody even thought about it. But you have to remember, he's pitching in this ballpark. He's not pitching in San Diego or Oakland or any of those big ballparks. He's pitching here. This is a hitter's ballpark.
See the career with the Reds. He made over 210 starts, 213 to be precise.
And there is no better guy than this fellow.
No question about it. 1 ball and 1 strike on Todd Frazier. Since 2004, Harang has started 315 games. That is 6th most in the major leagues in that time. And he's made more starts as a National League pitcher than anybody else since 2004. He has the 8th most innings pitched, closing in on 2,000 of those. Two and two on Todd Frazier.
And if you look at Harang and you look back at those 20 quality starts, Tom, he's really evolved as a pitcher. He no longer has that 93, 94 mile an hour fastball, but he's cutting the ball a little bit. The breaking ball is a little bit bigger, and his location is much more refined. He's always been able to locate well. It's even better now.
I'll give you an idea what kind of guy Harang is, and Cowboy mentioned what a special just guy he is, him and his entire family. You know, oftentimes when a guy leaves, they might have a chance to catch up with some of the guys that might have been their teammates on the other club, or maybe a coach, or maybe the manager, depending on how long you've been gone. And a lot's changed around here since Aaron Harang was here in a short amount of time. But some of the folks that have been here day after day after day, those you see when you pull in the players' parking lot, the security guys, Robert and Larry, all those guys down there, Paul, there's a swing and a miss. And Harang made it a point first day into town to go around the ballpark and say hello to everybody that he was so used to seeing on a daily basis.
You know, there are many times in professional sports where you see a guy that is like Brian Pena, like the Reds are. I mean, very happy, always excited about playing, always speaking to people. Sometimes you think that nicety is a passiveness on the field. Don't be fooled by that. You can be nice to people, and you can be a good person, and you can take them out, and you can be an animal. And that's why you play between the lines.
Oh, and one to Brandon, knocked in the game's only run here last night. Looks at a breaking ball, strike 2. And this is a guy who was with Harang every step of the way while both were here in a Reds uniform.
This is one of those matchups, Tom, where as a Reds position player, I know what you got. As a pitcher in Aaron Harang, I know what you like and what you can't hit. Now it's a matter of execution.
I mean, you think of the teams that have given Harang a chance to pitch for him just here in recent years, and those where it didn't work out, gets let go. And you mentioned Cleveland in spring training this year. 3-2 now on Brandon Phillips. And then, you know, the Braves were in a situation where they lost Chris Medlin, they lost Brandon Beachy, they lost Gavin Floyd to serious injuries, and they're like, where are we going? As there's strike 3 to Phillips, and he can't believe the call by Mark Carlson. Harang a 1-2-3 opening inning, end of 1, no score. presented by your Ford dealers. They have most of the regulars back in there today. You may recall last night Mesoraco was off, Ludwig was off, Jay Bruce was off. But today all three of those guys back in the lineup. We are scoreless at the end of an inning. Chris Johnson, Evan Gattis, Tommy La Stella, the trio against Alfredo Simon here in the Atlanta second inning.
Simon can have that kind of breaking ball for the duration of this day. He will be sitting pretty. You look at Simon here early, Tom. It's almost as though he's just concentrating on making pitches, not overthrowing, not worrying about the fatigue. Just one batter, one pitch at a time.
Two-strike pitch. It is lined into center field. I got way too much of the plate right there, and it's a leadoff single by Johnson.
When you embarrass a hitter on a pitch previously and you go back to it, they'll look for it. And as you said, Tom, that one was outside, but it was up. And for Chris Johnson, it was off the barrel of the bat.
Now the catcher, Evan Gattis, a .272 batter. 19 home runs, second only to Reds catcher Devin Mesoraco among all National League catchers in that category. And you have to remember that Gattis missed over a month of playing time this year. Of course, Mesoraco's missed a lot of playing time. 2 stints on the DL. His broken up. Gattis had one long stay on the disabled list with a bad back.
One thing in common that Gattis and Mesoraco have, they swing hard. And if it's close, they are hacking.
And really both of them strong and is similar. You know, that old country strong. Just big, huge forearms and wrists and hands. Big barrel chest.
They've got those catchers' bodies. You know, they're built like a big old fire hydrant.
Just look at that guy. It almost looks like Popeye standing there. No batting gloves.
You could put those guys in at linebacker and you wouldn't think anything about
right.
it. Just don't run at that guy.
Johnson has 4 stolen bases. Those are his only 4 attempts. Alfredo got ahead of 1 and 2 to Johnson before he singled, and now ahead of Gattis at 1 ball and 2 strikes. Breaking ball stayed up to even the count. Reds will have an off day tomorrow, and then this homestand continues on Tuesday night. The Chicago Cubs come rolling into town, and another familiar face will be pitching against them. It's a rank today. It'll be Travis Wood on Tuesday night. He'll be opposed by Johnny Cueto. And the Reds haven't decided what they're going to do with the rest of their rotation moving forward after Tuesday's game. The off day allows them to bring everybody back. But do you want to have a Daniel Corsino, they brought up from the minor leagues, have him make his major league debut as a starter?
It'll be interesting to see how the Reds go with this. Because I think Dylan Axelrod would have still been here had they not had the doubleheader and then the short time of rest. Thought he threw the ball very well out in Colorado.
1 and 2 has become 3 and 2, and the runner goes. Boy, and there's an at bat that just simply got away from Simon. Well, they're saying the runner or the batter went around on the swing. Boy, the Reds catch a break right there.
No doubt. This ball just took off on Simon, and it just fooled Gaddis. He was looking fastball. When a guy's throwing 95, you got to get the barrel out there, and he just went too far on a pitch out of the zone.
So what could have been a single and then a walk turns into a single, a stolen base, but a strikeout. So Johnson in scoring position, and here's La Stella. Strike one. That's a nice block right there by Devin Mesoraco.
Those pitches,
Johnson from advancing 1-1. Pardon me, Cowboy.
Those pitches are the toughest ones to block. Watch where this ball lands. It's in front of the plate. And for Mesoraco, you know, the short hops, those are the easy ones. You can smother them and keep them down. It bounces out in front of the plate. You don't know where that ball's going.
Came back with a 95-mile-per-hour fastball and beat Tommy La Stella with it. Fouled off to the third base side, out of play, 1-2. Third straight batter Simon has been in front of in this inning at a ball and 2 strikes.
It's like La Stella is trying to hit the ball into that shortstop hole. You've got Frazier playing way off the line, but Cozart is right behind the base runner Johnson at second.
And based on what we've seen the last couple of nights, La Stella is more than able to get the ball to that side of the infield. This one on the ground right at Cozart. You may remember he was a guy the last couple of nights with the bases loaded hit 2 rockets that forced Cozart to make diving plays. On Friday night, he made that incredible play where they got the force out at second. They couldn't turn the double play, and that turned out to be the run that Atlanta scored to win the game. And then he hit a ball very hard at Cozart, who made another play to get out of the inning last night. So runner at third, 2 down for B.J. Upton, a 206 batter.
Mesoraco looking into the dugout to see if manager Brian Price wants to walk Upton to face the pitcher Harang on deck with 2 down. Looks like they're going to go after him.
Well, ever since leaving Tampa Bay, it has just been rough times for B.J. Upton. It is incredible how this guy's career has gone from what it was to where it is now. And it's not to say he can't get it turned around the other way. Who knows? They signed him to a huge contract.
You know, to me, Tom, watching Upton and the games that he plays outside of the Reds, it's all about recognizing the breaking ball. It seems like every pitch that comes to the plate, he wants to pull out of the ballpark, and that's really not his game. He was signed to be the leadoff hitter for this club.
Well, they tried to come after Upton, but Simon was nowhere near the plate the first 2 pitches. And after falling behind 2-0, they figured, well, let's go ahead and put him on and let's face a pitcher with runners on the corners and 2 away in a scoreless game.
Well, that's a position where you try to give him the breaking ball, see what he's going to do, and he couldn't get it over the plate. Curveball first, then the changeup.
Harang has 4 hits and 48 at bats. He has 1 run batted in. They're on the corners with 2 gone. Alfredo having a hard time with command early on here today. 19 strikes. He's thrown 13 balls and really caught a break in this inning when Evan Gattis on that 3-2 pitch. It was nowhere near the zone. His momentum trying to get out of the way forced him to bring the bat through the strike zone for the first out of the inning. Up to take second base, give him his 19th steal of the year. Tapper, Frazier in front of Cozart, and the inning is over. A hit, 2 left. Middle of the second, no score.
Reds on Fox Sports Ohio. I'm Jim Day out here in the Sun Deck, and we've talked about this before. On Sunday home games, Bruce's Battalion, Jay Bruce, provides tickets to military and their families, and they also get a camo Reds hat and some food vouchers. Now, this is a group right here. Members of the Navy and Air Force, some retired, and we salute you, men and women, as we always do in the military. But we also must say that this program was taken over by Jay Bruce. It was started by Aaron Harang. It was originally called Aaron's Aces. Aaron grew up in San Diego, a military town, and started the program, and Jay Bruce took it over. So kudos to both of those gentlemen. Now, Aaron Harang is an easy guy to root for, and we would certainly root for him every day except when he's pitching against the Reds. And guys, I talked to 2 scouts this morning about Aaron Harang, and Cowboy, you talked about him reinventing himself. And those scouts say that he has gone the different direction of a guy that struggled at one point in his career. Most guys that are struggling simplify things and go back to their bread and butter. For Harang, it would have been fastball, slider. But they said, counting variations of pitches, he'll throw 5 to 6 different pitches now. So instead of simplifying things, he's expanded his arsenal. Don't see it often, but it's worked.
Indeed it has. That's good stuff, Jim Day, reminding everybody about Aaron Harang was the guy that started that program for families of servicemen and women who are out serving the greatest country in the world, the United States of America. And it's very nice that Jay Bruce recognized how important that program is and was to so many. And so he just was handed that baton and moved on.
I think Aaron really set a major tone for community service, giving back into the community. It's pretty apropos with the opening of the Urban Youth Academy on the same weekend that the Braves are in town, and he's pitching as well.
And a number of the Reds players, in fact, almost every single one of them, as far as I understand, making significant contributions to that Procter & Gamble Major League Baseball Urban Youth Academy. And of course, they had 3 of those guys out there the other day, and Jay Bruce and Brandon Phillips and of course Joey Votto. Two and two on Devin Mesoraco, leading off the Reds' second inning in a scoreless game, and Harang rocks and deals. Bounces up there, full count. 3-2 to Devin. And he walked him and didn't miss by much. Let's look at Atlanta on defense. Presented by the Ford dealers. Talked about Goslin getting the start at shortstop. A off day today for their regular shortstop, Andrelton Simmons. So they have both Goslin and La Stella in the lineup.
I think it tells you a little bit about the versatility of the glove work for Phil Goslin. He can play some defense now.
A ball and a strike on Jay Bruce, a batting average at .219, 14 home runs and 55 runs batted in.
You watch Orang pitch, Tom. Very few balls anywhere near the center of the plate. You may see 1-3-1. Very rarely is he going to leave a ball in the middle of the plate.
Came with a fastball, and that one looked like a pretty good pitch to hit for Jay Bruce.
Yes, it did.
And fouled out of play about 7 rows beyond the Atlanta third base side dugout. You know, you talk about guys having slumps and talk about guys just having a bad year. And there's no doubt Jay Bruce would be the first guy to tell you this has been a bad year. The first one he's ever had, really, in his very, very good and sometimes great major league career. You know, a lot of times, Cowboy, when you're having that year, it's not like you're not getting good pitches to hit. It's just for whatever reason, when you get them, you're just not getting them.
Everybody. And even the Hall of Famers will tell you you're going to have times that are awfully difficult. What you make from those times really is going to be indicative of what kind of player you're going to be in the long run.
That ball hit hard on a line drive right at B.J. Upton in center field. 1 out, and Mesoraco back to first base.
In most instances, those difficult times can make you an even better player. But then there are other players that go through difficult times and they never recover. I think Jay will take this time this year when he gets a chance to look back at it during the offseason. And he'll use this as a positive to move forward and even be a better hitter than what he's been in the past.
Now Ryan Ludwig down a strike. Ludwig did not start the game last night in the series opener when the Reds only scored 1 run and had 2 hits. Ludwig went 0 for 5, hit a couple of balls quite sharply in that game that night. But the Reds could just not get anything going against Mike Minor. Of course, they were being no hit in that game. 2 outs into the 8th inning before Billy Hamilton got their first hit, and it happened to tie the game with a single into center field. The Braves would go on to win that game on a 12th inning 2-run home run by Justin Upton. 0-2 on Ludwig.
You see the Reds, the scouting report on Harang is very similar to what it was early in his career. A lot of fastballs, a lot of pitches down and away. Harang's not doing that today. He's mixed in a lot of breaking balls, some 2-seam fastballs, and it looks like he's cutting the fastball as well.
PNC Bank, one of the big sponsors of the Reds, they had the big giveaway today, as they always do something for kids on Sunday, and they gave away those books for kids today. A foreword in there by Jay Bruce, written by Joel Altman. Rosie's Run Through Reds Country. It's a really cool book. Gives you an idea for the little guys and gals out there about what is Reds country. Talks about, doesn't matter whether, you just don't have to be in Cincinnati, but all over Ohio and Kentucky and Indiana and West Virginia and Tennessee and even Virginia and parts of North Carolina. Kind of chronicles, Cowboy, where we go on the caravan every year.
It does, and it's written in language that your little ones can be able to read and read again and read again.
One ball and 2 strikes.
You talk about that book, Tom. There's nothing like sitting down with your kids, especially at that young age, reading the book, story time, whether it's bedtime or whether it's the end of the night. Sooner or later, story time will vanish.
Bouncer, there's one, and they'll turn it over to end the inning. On our way to the 3rd in Cincinnati, scoreless, the Braves and the Reds. Today. Now check out this team. The Cubs are coming in town starting Tuesday. We got night games Tuesday, Wednesday, day game Thursday. If you buy one ticket in the view level, field box, or mezzanine sections, you get the second ticket in the same section, the same game for $1.
Come on.
$1. So, I don't know, 15 bucks. You buy the one ticket, you're spending 16 for 2. All you have to do is go to Reds.com today now. This is only today. Go to Reds.com/FS Ohio and get your tickets right now for the 3 games against the Cubbies.
So let's see, 8 and 16 carry the one. That's $8 a ticket.
You got it. And a sweet ticket.
Solid.
And you have a choice of 3 different sections. So, if maybe your wallet and the little extra money that perhaps you might have, or a lot of extra money you might have. I mean, you might say, okay, I can afford this. The second ticket is $1.
So if you buy 6, you pay for 3, and then the other 3 are $3.
You got it.
I like that.
How we looking?
We're looking good.
Top of the order for Atlanta against Alfredo Simon here in the third, and on a 2-0 pitch, that's a fly ball into left field off the bat of Hayward, into the glove of Ludwig. One away. A reminder coming up later on. Our Miller Time moment brought to you by Miller Lite. Certainly the pitching, you take away the game that this series began with when the Reds went into the minor leagues to bring up a spot starter. But boy, the pitching the last 2 games and now early on today from both sides. Leto 6 innings, 1 run. It wasn't until the 2-run home run by Upton against Manny Parra did Atlanta score another run. Reds were nearly no hit. They end up tying the game in the 8th. They had 2 hits total. Then last night, Reds 1-0 the final. Reds had 5 hits. Atlanta had 3.
I think you had to expect that coming into this series. What with the starting pitching of the Braves being as good as it is, we know all about how good the Reds starting pitching has been. I mean, you can play in a soup can as long as you keep the ball off the barrel of the bat.
Yep. That's why a lot of people talk about this Atlanta team. Cowboy, you look at the other clubs that right now are bona fide contenders. As that was into center field, a base hit by Gosselin. And we know about the division leaders, the Washington Nationals, their starting rotation. They've got some big name guys in there. They got some hard throwing, dominant type pitchers in there. You look at the LA Dodgers, there's no debate about that. Kershaw, Greinke, Ryu when healthy. San Francisco Giants have Madison, Bumgarner, and then some other guys that at times have been good and other times have just been okay.
Yeah, I mean, we saw Lincecum throw a no-hitter earlier this year, and now they're talking about taking him out of the rotation.
Vogelsong, he's been up and down.
Matt Cain, of course, has been hurt, probably headed for surgery.
We know all about the Cardinals and their starting rotation. There's no debate about Wainwright, and Lance Lynn is on the best roll of his career right now. So that certainly changes the equation a little bit, the way Lynn is throwing the ball now, but no Michael Wacha. They did bring in Masterson, and they brought in Lackey, guys who have certainly been very good at times during their career, especially Lackey. On the ground, this should be 2. And it is a double play off the bat of Freddie Freeman. But I was trying to get to what your impressions are of this Atlanta staff stacking up with the rest should they reach a postseason. That when we return. Serious injuries. Call 1-800-ELK-OHIO. We're talking about in the National League, Cowboy. Innings gobbled up by starters. These two teams 1 and 2 in the league.
Well, answering your question as we went to break, Julio Teheran, Irvin Santana. I mean, I would think that they would match up with pretty much any 1-2 on any club. And pitching really has not been the issue for this club. I mean, they close games out as well as anybody. What with Craig Kimbrell down there is Braves' version of Aroldis Chapman.
We were talking the other night how Freddie Gonzalez and Roger McDowell, that one turn through the rotation, they gave Minor a little bit of a break just to try to step away, get everything settled down, and well, the way he threw the ball the other night, very impressive. High bouncer to the right side off the bat of Pena. One away. Reds only have one base runner. That was a leadoff walk to Mesoraco in the second inning. There's one out here in the third.
I think in the case of Minor, anytime that you have an injury, you're out for a while, it takes a little while to get back in that rhythm, especially for a young pitcher. But what we saw from Minor the other night, I mean, granted, he was throwing no-hit baseball for the majority of the game, but he was in the zone. I mean, he was on the edges of the plate. He wasn't wild. He wasn't getting behind batters. I mean, pitching from a statistical standpoint is simple. You got to get ahead in the count. And you have to be able to throw a breaking ball for a strike. Now executing is a little different story.
Cozart at 220, 3 home runs and 31 runs batted in. 1 ball and 2 strikes. A pitcher Simon due up next. Braves are 1 game behind the Giants for the second wild card spot among all National League teams. Cardinals the overall wild card leader, and that one booted by Johnson, and Cozart aboard. That has scored a base hit.
Well, as I've said many times, Tom, this is the big leagues. Big league third baseman make that play.
And really right there is a lesson for a lot of youngsters out there. Now, I'm not down there, Cowboy, but from watching the replay twice, it appeared if you slide like you're guarding somebody in basketball, Johnson gets in front of that ball.
And I give the third baseman the benefit of the doubt as far as whether they catch it to the glove hand side or backhand, because you're always in a position where, you know, that's they call it the hot corner for a reason. Ball comes off the bat, you may not catch it right off the bat with your eyes. But the bottom line is you have to be able to reach to your glove side and be able to catch the ball as well as your backhand side. That was a makeable play.
Well, they're going to run it, roll foul, and that'll be strike 3 to Alfredo Simon. That is the second night in a row a Reds pitcher has been asked to put down a bunt and could not do it successfully. It's now time for you to tweet your photo using hashtag #OhioFanPhoto to have a chance to shown during an upcoming game. Brought to you by AT&T. So instead of a runner at second base and 2 outs, it's a runner at first base and 2 outs after the failed sacrifice attempt by Simon. And here's Billy Hamilton. The catcher calling timeout there. Strike 1.
have to wonder, Tom, with that ball hit off the glove of Johnson being the first hit that the Reds have during this game, as the game goes on, would that be looked at again if the Reds don't get another hit or don't put the ball in play as we saw him last night? It's just one of those plays that becomes controversial as the game goes on.
One ball and one strike on Billy Hamilton. And a pitch out, thinking something might be on there. 2-1. There might be on something here.
Well, if you believe Hamilton's going to make contact, that's not a bad play to put on, especially with the speed of Hamilton. Get that runner Kozar a little head start.
All right, 2-2 now to Hamilton. Kozar this year has 4 stolen bases, has not been thrown out. And Billy, a fly ball to left field, will back up Upton, but he's there, and that's the inning. They get the hit, controversial albeit. End of 3, no score. $6 million with MLB.com's easy and free game, Beat the Streak. Pick players to get hits in 57 consecutive games, and you could become a millionaire. Play MLB.com Beat the Streak today. No runs, 3 hits, 3 left for Atlanta. No runs, 1 hit, 1 left for the Reds. Alfredo Simon set to face Justin Upton, who leads off the Atlanta 4th. Upton flied out to Jay Bruce in short right field his first time up. He'll be followed by the third baseman Johnson and then Evan Gattis. Alfredo Simon was truly one of the great stories in all of Major League Baseball over the first half of the year. A starter a number of years ago with the Baltimore Orioles. Did a little bit of everything with the Orioles at one point in time or another. Even closed some games. The Reds picked him up, as you know, off the waiver wire before opening day 3 years ago, and became a very, very valuable member of what was a great Reds bullpen over the last couple of seasons.
One of the best.
And then, of course, this year, they knew Matt Latos was not going to be ready to begin the year in the rotation following arm surgery, and then knee surgery once spring training began. So they had Alfredo working as a starter. A handful of days before opening day, it looked like they had made the decision to send Simon back into the bullpen. There's a sharp one-hopper handled nicely by Cozart, and Johnson thrown out 2 away. And a young man named Brett Marshall was making a tune-up against the Chicago White Sox out in Glendale, Arizona, on a very windy day in the desert. And before you knew it, the White Sox are hitting balls in the seats. They're scoring 6, 7, 8 runs, whatever it was that day. But we found out afterwards that Marshall was injured, and it looked like he was going to be the guy that began the rotation, or began the year in the rotation, and opened the door for Simon, and he peels off 12 wins by the All-Star break.
And I think, Tom, if you look at the overall numbers for Alfredo Simon, you have to be ecstatic for what you've got. And I think anyone that thought that Alfredo Simon was going to make 30 starts this year, you're not telling the truth. And you had to know that after he got to that 130, 140 innings mark, things were going to get a little bit difficult, and they have been.
I don't know where this ball hit Evan Gattis, but it looked like it hurt the ball more than it did Gattis. This guy didn't even flinch, right off the knee.
Well, if you throw a ball as hard as you can off a fire hydrant, that's how it bounces.
You're right. Man, he walked through the manager's office when we were in there with Freddie Gonzalez.
He's a big fella
You
now.
cannot believe how big he is.
And thick.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Not heavy,
yeah,
just thick. I mean, serious muscle bound. He looks like he's been baling hay for about 50
Yeah, it doesn't
years.
look like that muscle that you see guys pumping iron in the gym.
No.
You're right. It looks like baling hay, or, you know, digging ditches, putting in fences, that kind of thing.
Ohio, Nebraska, Iowa, that's where he looks like he's from.
On the ground right at Brandon Phillips, and the force out will end the inning. Alfredo 4 shutout innings here today. His team trying to get him some support when we return.
This deal for any game against the Chicago Cubs on Tuesday through Thursday this coming week. Buy one ticket in the view level, field box, or mezzanine sections and get a second ticket in the same section for the same game for just $1. Go to Reds.com/FSOhio and get your tickets now. I'm Jim Day, down here by the Reds dugout. Now, no one wants to be woken up early in the morning to a frantic family member. But that's exactly what happened to Christopher Negron this morning. He is a California native. He lives in the Napa Valley area, and if you're following the news, a 6.0 earthquake, a very strong earthquake, hit California early this morning. The epicenter was right around the Napa Valley area, and he said luckily his home suffered very minor damage. They had some stuff fall off the shelf, some pictures fall off the wall, some stuff broken in the kitchen. They do not have power, but he's very thankful that his family is okay. As for some neighbors, it's a different story. Their house were damaged, and we hope everyone is well out there, as well as can be expected, as thousands are still without power. But Christopher Negron had himself a scare waking up this morning, but all seems to be okay with his family.
Well, thank God for that, and certainly our thoughts and prayers are with everybody out there. Cowboy, you and I were reminiscing before the game today. It's the largest earthquake they've had in the Bay Area in 25 years, and it happened to be the night before Game 3 of the World Series. You were there as a player. I was there as Johnny Bench's caddy, and it was a scary night, and there were so many people who lost their lives or lost their homes. Or lost friends, family, whatever the case may be.
I'll never forget it. Every time when I read about that this morning, I got chills on my arms. Coming out of the locker room, heading out for Game 3, our first game in the World Series at home. And it sounded like a train as we were walking through the tunnel. The tunnel was twisting back and forth, almost like a fair ride. Lights went out. So much for the emergency lights, because they didn't come on.
Yep.
Mike Lacoste and I were sprinting for our lives. First thing you do is look into the stands trying to find your family.
Oh, and 1 the count on Brandon Phillips. He struck out his first time up. Frazier begins this inning with a clean single in the left, so there won't be any debate later on about whether the ball that Zach Cozart hit to the backhand side of the third baseman Johnson on a play we both felt should have been made by the Atlanta third baseman. It was scored a hit. No score. We're in the bottom of the 4th inning. 1-1 to Brandon Phillips.
My mom and dad were there for that earthquake. Afterwards, son, we're going to have to go on back home. They didn't see Game 3.
Well, they had to wait nearly a week before they resumed that World Series. Of course, the Oakland A's won it in 4.
Kind of took all the luster off.
Sure did.
Playing in a World Series. You see so much heartache and pain and devastation, because we stayed in the Bay Area. Oakland went to Arizona, so we felt the brunt of the blow, being in our hometown, our home ballpark.
And that one shot into right field, a base hit by Brandon. Singles by Frazier and Phillips to begin the Reds' 4th inning.
Well, this is what you want from your offensive club. The second time through the lineup, that fastball down and away ran back over the heart of the plate. You don't see that too often from Harang, but you got to make him pay when it does. Good start to the inning now. The Reds have to cash it in.
Hit hard, but right at the left fielder, Upton. First out in the inning. Well, you know the drill for Red hits a home run off that Toyota side during our game today. Steve Darby from West Union, Ohio will win the beautiful new Tundra on display here at Great American Ballpark, and you can register for your chance to win at an upcoming game to stop by your Cincinnati and Northern Kentucky Toyota dealer. Hard hit balls to begin this inning. Singles by Frazier and Phillips. A line drive out by Mesoraco. Jay Bruce hit the ball hard. A liner right at B.J. Upton in center field his first time up. Orang has hit on first pitch strikes 11 times through the first 14 he has faced today. He's allowed 3 hits, no runs. Reds trying to change that runs column here right quick. 1-1 on Jay Bruce.
This is the spot where Aaron Harang has been at his best, getting runners in scoring position, using the hitter's aggressiveness against him with the breaking ball, that 2-seamer running just off the plate.
Two and one to Jay Bruce. Well, that's a borderline pitch right there. Right there. That's where you said Harang makes a living, down and away.
He really does. When in doubt, that's where he's going.
And try to come back in, belt high fastball on the inner edge and just missed it.
Now, Harang will do this for effect. He'll start that ball, as you see, right at the belt of Bruce. Run it back. It's either going to catch just the corner or it's going to stay in off the plate. Now he'll either go back away or he'll go with a breaking ball.
3-2, and here it comes. And a bouncing ball. That is a fair ball, and nobody at the bag. An infield hit for Bruce. That's a nice play by Freeman. Otherwise, that ball's down in the right field corner. But the Reds have him loaded.
I think Harang thought that ball was foul, but you're taught, even as a youngster, ball hit to the right side, you get to the first base bag no matter what, even if it's hit to the second baseman. But hesitation for a moment, can't get there. Tom, this is the best chance that the Reds have had for a big inning in this series.
Of course, the Reds were shut out in the first game of this series. They scored 1 run in game 2. They scored 1 run last night. So now it's up to Ryan Ludwig to try and make it happen, and he takes a breaking ball up and in, 1-0. Foul tipped into the mid of Gaddis.
And again, down and away. And low down and away. You saw that graphic, 1 for 12 with the bases loaded against Aaron Harang this year. He's going to try to make as perfect of a pitch as he can and try not to give in any way, fashion, or form.
1-1 on Ryan Ludwig, and Harang to the plate, and it's hit down the right field line, and it is caught by Hayward. It'll bring in a run, but it could have been 2 if not 3 runs. So the Reds on the board, 1-0. What a big time play that was by Hayward and right.
I didn't think he was going to get to this ball when it came off the bat. I thought it was going to die. The big fella Hayward, he closed in a hurry. A backhanded dive. But it gets the Reds on the board.
Sure does. That's a nice piece of hitting by Ludwig.
No doubt about it.
So now Brian Pena looking for a 2-out hit. Runners on the corners with 2 away, and he will find the 2-out hit to make it a 2-0 game.
Couple of pretty good swings there by Reds batters in back-to-back pitches. As you said, Tom, a nice at-bat there by Ludwig. Another RBI for Brian Pena.
He gives Pena 25 of them on the year. And now Cozart, this inning not over. You've got him at first and second. 2 in, 2 out. Pulled foul way in front of a breaking ball, and it's 0-2 on Zach Cozart, who had that infield hit up the third base line his first time up.
I have a feeling he's going to see some high fastballs up and out of the zone, or those breaking balls down in the dirt, now that Harang has a commanding count in his favor.
And that one into right field, a base hit. It was indeed up in the strike zone, and Cozart whacks it the other way. That'll play Jay Bruce. It is 3-0 Cincinnati.
We talked earlier about Aaron Harang not making mistakes. He's made a couple here in back-to-back batters. The fastball up to Pena. He tries to go up here. He gets it up, but he leaves it out over the plate. That's just a great job of hitting by Cozart. You could see the catcher, Evan Gattis, almost standing up, holding the mitt up high.
I've said it 1,000 times, Cowboy. I wish I had just a dime for every time I've seen catchers do that and pitchers get burned. They're not taught to do it.
Well, the fastball up and away is much easier to reach for a batter than the fastball up and in. And with 2 strikes, I'm much more of a fan of it up and in.
They get the force out at second base, but Harang kicking himself. Biggest play in that inning was him not covering first. And the Reds take advantage by putting up a 3 spot. Food Group, let's create great dishes together. By Toyota. For over 30 Toyota offers, visit buyatoyota.com. Go for the Save on Wing Tuesdays at B-Dubs with specially priced wings all day. Buffalo Wild Wings, Wings, Beer, Sports. And brought to you by Kingsford Charcoal. Slow down and grill. Well, I mean, there's a lot of grilling going out on the Ohio, I would imagine, today. There you have a whole fleet. The Savannah, I can't read that middle one. And how about that one on the left side, the wet spot?
Must be doing a lot of swimming.
Well, today would be a nice day to be out there on the river now.
No doubt.
Couldn't read the name of that middle boat out there. There's a high drive into deep right center field, but it'll stay in the yard off the bat of B.J. Upton in front of the wall. It's Hamilton. One away. Our camp out of the port of Aurora, Indiana. Boy, just a jump in the river there. One of those floaties with you there, cowboy.
Got that right. I don't need that floaty. I can swim.
Of course, this time next Sunday, that will be one of the places to be in the United States of America. And that is not an exaggeration. One of the great, if not the best, fireworks show in the country. Cincinnati Bell, WEBN.
That's what I want to do right there. I've never done that in my life. I've never
wakeboarding?
No, skiing. I've never been skiing in my life.
All right.
Ever.
Really?
Ever.
You would like it. Now, my wife is really good at it. Kids are great at it. You know, I'm just one of those guys where I'm a 2-ski guy, you know what I mean, instead of a 1-ski guy. Did wakeboarding for the first time.
One ski?
Yeah, most people who get to be good water skiers end up going on one ski. Most of them. Not all of them, but most of them. You put one foot in front of the other. They have 2 little slots for it. You cruise around and you get your balance.
I thought you just had a ski on each foot and they pulled you up out of the water with a rope.
That's what I do. But I'm in the minority now, you know.
That's what I'd be doing. I just want to get up and see what it's like. You know, when you're playing, you got all that little fine microfilm print of things that you can't do.
Right.
They might as well just make it in big letters. Okay, you can have no fun besides baseball. They don't want you to get hurt, and rightly so.
But see, now the big rage is wakeboarding, which is basically skiing on one ski, basically.
Is it a wider ski?
Yeah, and you have both feet that are in. It's almost more like a skateboard
on water. That'd be all I need.
More like a snowboard would be more accurate. Like
I know I can't do that. I tried that on the.
See, the only problem with wakeboarding is, and I did it last year, and I was able to get up. First time that I was able to get up. The only problem with wakeboarding is, and it's no different than snowboarding, if all of a sudden you're going along and the front edge of that board happens to tilt down towards the water and you go down, I mean you go down right now.
That'd be all I need.
It is just
an eighth surgery.
Breaking ball off the outside corner, 2-2 to Hayward.
Put another plate in my neck.
Now you've been on a jet ski, right?
Yes.
That's what we just saw there a moment ago. Now those are really cool.
I love that.
Yeah.
But I have control over that.
Exactly. Those are really fun.
What about the wave that's coming up from the boat while you're skiing? That's what I've always
the wake.
wondered about. The wake.
Yeah, the wake. Now see, those will make a wake, but we're going to get you out there. The cowboy on water. Thursday, they take on the Cubbies here at Great American Ballpark. Don't forget, on Thursday, fans 60 and older can take advantage of Senior Day. Purchase a non-premium ticket at half price thanks to Tri-State Centers for Sight. And we've got the great ticket deal going on right now. So log on to Reds.com for more information. And we're taking over that ticket office here at FS Ohio. So Reds.com/FS Ohio, and you buy a ticket in. You have the option of 3 different areas around the ballpark, and you get the second ticket for $1. And again, the games against the Cubbies will be Tuesday night 7:10, Wednesday night 7:10, and Thursday an afternoon tilt. Reds in front 3-0. And Billy Hamilton trying to bring it with him. That is a foul ball. And a bouncer to the left side. And just in time to throw from Johnson, one away. Hamilton 0 for 3 today.
Well, Hamilton was smelling a base hit there. He got down the line in a hurry. Routine ground ball at the third baseman, had a little hop in it. I think when Billy hit that off the end of the bat, he thought he had a chance. And with his speed, he did.
Todd Frazier started the 3-run rally an inning ago with a single into left field. Brandon Phillips followed with a single, and out later. That was a batter, I would imagine, Cowboy, that Aaron Harang is kicking himself. That was a 2-hopper up the first base line, but it was hit sharply as Frazier has gone on strikes. Sharply enough where Jay Bruce wasn't more than 2 or 3 steps out of the box, and if Harang covers the bag, he wins that race to the bag for what would have been the second out of the inning.
Well, the problem that Aaron had there is he started aggressively towards the bag as the ball came off the bat. But in his mind, he started to play umpire. And we all have a tendency to do that as players. If he had kept going full speed to first base, more than likely he's got an out there. As Freeman made a great play on the ball.
2 up, 2 down here in the Reds' 5th inning. Reds in front 3-0, and time not called by Phillips. We saw him do this last night where he just decides no matter what, I'm not swinging at it, and takes a strike down the middle. Last night he had his right hand trying to get some feeling back in it on his right hip from having been hit the prior trip. Brandon 1 out of 2 has singled and scored a run.
You see hitters do that sometimes when you're on the mound, and it can throw you off, throw off your concentration on the hill. You see a guy just standing there, and all of a sudden you bounce it in the dirt.
Two and two on Brandon Phillips. Into center field, and it's a 1-2-3 inning for Aaron Harang. End of 5. Reds 3, Braves nothing. Hal McCoy on the Game Day Live page. Hal also has a profile on the Reds' most recent edition. Daniel Corsino, plus the UC starting quarterback position, is still up for grabs. UC begins its season along with the rest of college football next weekend. It's all brought to you by 1-800-SAFE-AUTO. Drive safe, spend less. Cowboy, I know you are ready for some college football.
Oh, no doubt.
Now, how is your alma mater going to be this year, the Mississippi State Bulldogs?
They're supposed to be pretty good. They are. They've got a really good quarterback. But as you know, Alabama and Auburn are supposed to be pretty good as well. So we'll see. Heck, if you think about it, everybody's supposed to be good in the SEC.
Of course, last year was the first year in a long time where the Southeastern Conference did not have the college football champion. And they had some programs that were surprisingly down last year. Certainly one of the schools to keep an eye on that has not been good for a couple of years, the Gators.
Will Muschamp came over from Texas. Things looked pretty good that first year. It's not good when they go downhill afterwards, because those are your guys.
Not Urban's guys.
Not Urban's guys, exactly.
0-2 to Gosselin. And a breaking ball away. Alfredo Simon allowed a couple of base runners in the second inning, a leadoff single. He intentionally walked the number 8 hitter and got out of a 2-on 2-out jam by retiring Harang. And ever since then, he's been on a pretty impressive roll here today. He allowed a 1-out single to Gosselin in the third, got a double play ball from Freeman behind him, hit a batter with 2 outs in the fourth, and had his first perfect inning, his last inning, in the fifth. 2-2 pitch. He went around, and that's strike 3. 5 strikeouts now for Alfredo Simon.
Third strikeout in a row for Simon. Very pitch efficient through the first, now 5 1/3 innings of this ballgame. Only 70 pitches for Simon. He doesn't seem to be laboring as he was in some of the other starts we've seen since the break. Just seems more comfortable.
He broke out that 68-mile-per-hour Ephus-like pitch and falls behind Freeman now 2-0. Reds scored 3 times. If you're just joining us in the 4th inning, they had 5 hits. RBIs by Ludwig, Pena, and Kozar. The latter 2 coming with 2 away in the inning. Beat him with a 2-0 fastball at 94, and that one fouled out of play. Milwaukee has jumped out to a 2-0 lead over the Pirates. Of course, they did that last night and got boat raced.
Well, Pedro Alvarez last night. Maybe liking playing over there at first base.
Pirates are going for the 3-game sweep in Milwaukee today. Brewers have lost 3 in a row. And the Pirates had lost 7 consecutive games, and now they've won 3 straight. They beat Atlanta the final game of that series before the Braves came here, and have now won 2 in a row over the Brewers. Giants all over the Nationals. That game in the 3rd inning, it is 5-0 San Francisco.
I don't think these Braves players don't see that San Francisco score.
And the Cardinals are getting bludgeoned by Philadelphia. That's 5-0 in the 3rd. Phillies. I tell you, I don't know what happens, and obviously, Cowboy, I wish we knew the answer. There's a liner right at Pena for the 2nd out of the inning. When the Cardinals see the Reds, they become the most unbeatable team in Major League Baseball. And this year, anyway, nothing has been further from the case when they are not playing the Reds.
I think you could say that about the Reds facing the Pirates for years. It seemed like every time the Reds faced the Pirates, it was a walk in the park for the Reds. But that culture has changed a little bit over in Pittsburgh, and now it seems to be a battle. That's the same thing the Reds have to do going into St. Louis. You have to take away how comfortable they are playing the Reds, and you've got to not play so tight.
That's the highest pop-up I've ever seen between the pitcher's mound and the plate. And that's the end of the inning. Now Fredo's retired 7 in a row and leads 3-0. Players get the retro 2-button style baseball game you've been missing. Visit RBIGame.com for more details. Download today on your favorite console or mobile device. Off tomorrow, then back at it at 6:30 for Reds Live, as we do before the start of every game here on Fox Sports Ohio. And it's brought to you by Ray St. Clair Roofing. Reds 3, Atlanta 0. Mesoraco, Bruce, and Ludwig, the scheduled trio against Aaron Harang. Reds getting all 3 of their runs, 5 of their 6 hits in the 4th inning. 1-1 to Devin.
Tom, I've just been informed that UC has a water ski team, and they'd love to teach me how to water ski.
Really?
But my question is, can I do it with my boots on?
If you get good enough, there's no doubt about it, you can do it with your boots on. And if that happens, we have to bring the camera along. So they've offered
to teach me how to water ski.
Well, but you got to take them up on it. Now, I wonder where they go.
I have no idea.
Ski team. I mean, there are a lot of great places that they could go in and around the area.
But, I mean, what better way to learn?
There's no debate about that.
Now, that would
before too long, you'll be one of those guys going off those ramps.
Yeah, right.
That kind of thing. Airborne and twisting around and doing 360s and then
man, I can't twist standing
sticking it right in the water.
Yeah, I'll be sticking it all right. My skull. I'd be like that guy on the Wide World of Sports, the agony.
Oh, no. Don't bring that up. No.
That would hurt me. I just want to ski the regular way and say I've done it.
Well, don't they have lakes in Mississippi?
Yeah.
All right, well.
Just never done it.
Okay. Oh, look at that.
Oh, goodness. Oh, that almost got our camera.
Hopefully Kevin's all right. Kevin Luganville down there, our camera operator. Kev, you all right down there? Give us a thumbs up. Can't hear us? All right. I don't blame him. He turned us off. So Mesoraco gone on strikes. 5 of those today by Harang. And here's Jay Bruce. Down a strike. Oh, he said it, that Milwaukee lead, the way that series has gone, doesn't mean much. No sooner do you look up there, the Pirates have tied that game 2-2.
In the second. The Pirates got all over 15-game winner Willie Peralta. He's been the best Milwaukee starter this year.
The season ended right now, you'd have the Cardinals and the Giants in a one-game playoff. A Cowboy, going back to your days with the Giants, if the Giants were to win that game, oh, I beg your pardon, they would play the Washington Nationals. I was thinking for a second, could that first round be the Dodgers and the Giants? Right now would not be, because the Nationals have a better record than LA.
Well, you're talking about some blood to be shed if it was the Giants and the Dodgers. Oh my goodness. It's like the Yankees Red Sox on the West Coast.
1-2 on Bruce. Of course, that Cardinals Nationals series would be an interesting one, because that's a year when the Reds lost that heartbreaking best out of 5 to the Giants in 2012. The Nationals fans remember their best of 5 series in the same vein. They blew the lead early in the series, but when they got to game 5, the Nationals had a 6-0 lead in game 5 and lost the game. Bounced into right field, a base hit by Bruce. Boy, and it was a slow, painful death over the last couple of innings as St. Louis was coming from behind against that bullpen. The Reds was like a punch in the gut. When Posey hit the grand slam, that was like getting punched with a knockout blow.
Well, you just had a major worry in your mind when Cueto had to step out of the ball game. Even though Sam LeCure came on and did a phenomenal job, it just threw everything into flux. And you think back and you think, well, Johnny right now, Johnny then, maybe a different story.
One and 0 on Ryan Ludwig. 1 on, 1 out. We're in the bottom of the 6th inning. Reds have 7 hits in the game now. The Braves have 3. Reds have 3 runs. Braves have none. Ludwig had a nice at bat in the 4th inning with the bases loaded and 1 out in a line drive, sinking line drive towards the right field line. Hayward made a spectacular diving catch. It turned into a sac fly, run batted in for Ryan. Ludwig taking all day to get back in the batter's box. This is something we talked a lot about last night during the game. It's actually a rule in baseball where the batter is only allowed to have 1 foot out of the batter's box, and that's with nobody on base. Runner goes, pitch taken, throw down to second, and safe is the call. Bruce able to evade the tag of his second baseman, La Stella.
Stella just didn't get the tag down in time. He had the ball in plenty of time. He just missed Jay on the first swipe. As soon as you catch that ball, you got to get that ball down in a hurry.
And Ludwig draws a walk. Second one of those given up by Harang here today. 2 on and 1 out. We invite you out to the Tin Roof before the game this Wednesday and meet Fox Sports Ohio girl Christine. Try your luck with the Home Run Derby Challenge with the chance to win some great prizes. It's all taking place this Wednesday at 5:30 at Tin Roof at the Banks. Pride of Coleraine High School, Roger McDowell out for a visit. He's been the pitching coach ever since Leo Mazzoni wasn't with the Atlanta Braves.
I think that visit there, Tom, was as much to allow the bullpen to get a little bit ready, give Harang a little bit of a breather, especially with Bruce standing at second. The last thing that you want to do here, if you're Aaron Harang or the Braves for that matter, is give up that all-important 4th run.
Have David Carpenter getting loose in the bullpen. Two on, 1 out for Brian Pena. He had a big 2-out single to knock in the second run of the 3 that scored in the 4th.
I think sometimes as a pitching coach, when you go to the mound, you just re-emphasize the scouting report on the batter that's standing at the plate, where his weaknesses are, where you need to go, especially with a runner in scoring position.
Breaking ball away. 1-1 to Brian Pena. Big open space on the left side of the Atlanta infield, as they're trying to keep Bruce as close as they can. And now Harang backing off the rubber after Goslin came in behind Jay. Tapper left side. Short hop, and really that was played poorly by Goslin right from the beginning, and everybody's safe.
Well, you had to believe, Tom, that Brian Pena was going to try to hit the ball through that hole, as much as Goslin was going back and forth between second and his position, really leaving the whole left side of the infield open.
That will be all for Aaron Harang. He goes 5 1/3 innings coming back to Cincinnati today. He'll leave with the bases loaded and 1 out, trailing 3-0. This will be our Skyline Chili call to the bullpen, as Carpenter will come on to face Zach Cozart. Back in a moment.
Not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Cincinnati Reds.
Reds have the bases loaded against a new Atlanta pitcher, David Carpenter. And Zach Cozart, the batter.
Hard thrower. Will challenge you with the fastball, as we see right there. And if you're Freddie Gonzalez, you're thinking, all right, this is my chance to keep us in the ball game, because if the Reds get a base hit here, they can blow this game wide open.
Reds leading 3-0. Carpenter's had a nice season for the Braves. And he's quickly ahead of Cozart at 0-2. Now Zach fell behind. You may remember his last time up a couple of strikes. And Orang tried to get him to chase up the ladder. He didn't get it up enough. And Cozart smoked one into right field, a 2-out hit to knock in a third and final run of that inning.
He's going fastball, fastball. We'll see where he comes here.
On the ground, this is trouble. There's one. Safe the call at first base.
Oh, they're going to challenge it. They're going to challenge that one.
No reaction by Freddie Gonzalez. It's a big call in this game. Innings over if it's overturned. No doubt about it. This will be. Oh, this will be.
They're going to give him the thumbs down in the dugout.
Yeah, that's right.
Come on back. Yeah, I didn't see Freddie Freeman. Normally, a first baseman knows when he catches the ball or whether the foot hits, he can feel the vibration. Freeman just very nonchalantly turned to throw the ball back to the pitcher. You're exactly right. No reaction at all. It's Cozart's second RBI of the day.
It was a call like that, you may remember, where a game ended earlier this year between the Reds and the Atlanta Braves. That's when we were down in Atlanta the final weekend of April. Alfredo Simon is swinging a foul ball out of play. Remember that?
B.J. Upton over at first base. Is that the one? I'm trying to remember. There were a couple down there.
Yeah, that was a lost weekend for the Reds when they went down to Atlanta. Lost 1-0.
No, I don't think it was Upton. I think that was the following day, early in the ball game. Either way, the Reds didn't catch a break on either one of them.
Swing and a miss, and that'll end the inning. Reds get a run, and they lead as we go to the 7th, 4-0. memory, the Reds came up with 3 runs in the 4th inning against Aaron Harang, a sac fly RBI by Ryan Ludwig. But with 2 outs, big base hits by Brian Pena through the middle. And then Zach Cozart into right field, making it 3-0 Reds. And without question, the best outing since the All-Star break through the front 6 innings anyway has been turned in by Alfredo Simon.
It's all been about the variety of pitches, Tom. You look at the top velocity on the fastball, 95 miles an hour. That ephus pitch that Simon threw to Freddie Freeman was 61 miles an hour. And in between, we've seen a curveball at 78, slider at 87. We talked about it when we opened the game. If he's able to command the off-speed pitches, he can be awfully effective. He's done that here today.
Oh, and 1 to Chris Johnson. A ball and a strike. Johnson is single to center. In fact, he has one of just 3 base hits allowed by Alfredo. The first batter of the game, Hayward single. Johnson single leading off the second. And Goslin had a 1-out single in the 3rd. That's been it. Foul territory, a long run for Pena, and he'll run out of room. You wonder about the availability, Cowboy, of Aroldis Chapman today. And would the Reds have to go to Jonathan Broxton to try and close it out? Broxton gave him an inning last night. He gave him an inning the night before that. Chapman has pitched 3 days in a row after not pitching for almost a week. But he went 2 innings in the game 2 nights ago before coming on to get the final 3 outs, all 3 strikeouts here last night.
You know, a 4th day in a row, I could see with Chapman if it was 1-inning stints. But that 2 innings, that may be the straw that takes him out of today.
You know, Brian Price doesn't like getting into that kind of thing with the media before a game. Because, you know, in essence, you're letting the opponent know some information and how they might react. You know, in a pinch hitting situation, say in the 6th or the 7th inning, knowing that they might have to save their right-handed batters for later. Or conversely, if they know Chapman's not playing, they can save their left-handed batters for later.
Like Jumbo Diaz was walking back to throw in the bullpen.
And that's just saying, here you go, 96 miles per hour. And that's 6 strikeouts in the game for Alfredo Simon today.
Hardest pitch of the day, and it's right down Broadway. And that's our flamethrower, brought to you by Cholula Hot Sauce. 96 smoking miles an hour.
For the last 6 batters that Simon has faced, he has struck out.
You see where Simon is with the fastball. I mean, he is right at the kneecaps, if not just a little bit lower with that fastball. Throwing that hard, that's tough to get to. And then you throw him that one. Louisiana breakdown.
Now, what's the origin of Louisiana breakdown? Here's the 0-2 to Gaddis, and that might be down from Laredo, right?
You got it. That's just a bunch of boys sitting in the dugout making up words for different breaking balls. Maybe starts in Memphis and drops right on down to New Orleans.
That ball clobbered by Gaddis. It will stay in the ballpark. And Gaddis with a 1-out double here in the Atlanta 7th inning.
That one stayed up in Memphis. Ball comes out of the hand of Simon. It's a breaking ball, a curve ball, and it just spins. And to that big fella, that's a cookie.
Well, now Jeff Pico, the Reds pitching coach, will come out and chat with Alfredo Simon. Now let's see if there's some action now in the Cincinnati bullpen. You thought it looked like Jumbo got up to start moving around, and the big fella's starting to loosen. Well, what a job he did last night. Came in with the bases loaded and a 1-0 Reds lead. They had just taken the lead in the bottom of the 6th inning, and he came on in the 7th and got La Stella on a fielder's choice on a real nice play made by Zach Kozar. And it was Broxton and Chapman thereafter in the 1-0 win.
There are times, Tom, when seasons don't go just as though you plan them and you have pleasant surprises. That man Jumbo Diaz is one of those pleasant surprises. He has made a name for himself. Now he's just got to finish up the season on a good note.
One 1-0 on Tommy La Stella, who was grounded to short and bounced into a fielder's choice on a ground ball to the second baseman. Pitches in the game for Simon, so not a big deal there, unless you feel like he's starting to lose it, which after this many innings and this many pitches, as we brought up earlier, especially as that relates to the last couple of years. And that one hit down the left field line, and the Braves will get on the board. La Stella, a run scoring double to make it a 4-1 game.
That phone will be ringing in the bullpen shortly. Are you ready? Sinking fastball. Middle away. That pitch was just a little bit up. We've seen La Stella go the other way many times. This one he hits right on the barrel.
It's first series we've seen this guy. This guy can hit. And he hits a ball hard the other way. It's not just little flares and dinks and dunks. He's hitting some rockets the other way.
Good flat swing inside out the baseball. A pretty good idea.
It's a very small sample size at the big league level. But what's interesting about La Stella is he has dominated left-handed pitching. His problems have come against the right-handers. But you got to believe that's just a fluke from the right-handers side of it.
I would say so.
I mean, he was the MVP of their Mississippi club, AA club. He had .343 last year. Played in 86 games and reached base in 76 of them. Was hitting just shy of 300 when they brought him up from AAA this year. 1-2 on B.J. Upton. Ryan Doman stands in the on-deck circle. That's a pitcher spot due up next. These are two big batters in this game. These are two guys that Alfredo can't let him get hurt by. I mean, Upton has just had a brutal year. There's no other way to describe it. You know, you look through the career of Chipper Jones. Now you're talking about a Hall of Fame player. He'll be in the Hall of Fame one day. He played 19 years in the big leagues. 17 of those he was a regular guy where he didn't get hurt. In 15 of his 17 years, he walked more than he struck out. In every year of his 19-year career, he did not reach 100 strikeouts. Not one time. The Braves are going to have maybe 5 guys, 4 for sure, that are going to strike out over 135 times this year. That ball driven hard into right center. Hamilton will track it down. Upton has hit a couple balls hard out there today. So perhaps he's a bit encouraged the way he swung the bat. La Stella tagging and advancing on to third, and Domet coming up.
Yeah, I can remember facing Chipper Jones. It didn't matter what pitch you were throwing, what count you were in. Seemed to always be able to get some part of the bat on the baseball. Striking him out was some kind of difficult. His balance is what got you on the mound. You just could never read that swing, whether he was out in front or a little bit behind. You try to read the barrel of the bat when you're on the mound, or pick up the front hip or the front shoulder. Man, he didn't telegraph anything.
That's another guy we talk all the time about. Certain players changing positions, and he's a name I always forget about. Talk about Robin Yount, talked about Pete Rose. In more recent years, Miguel Cabrera a couple of times, Ryan Braun, Chipper Jones, another guy. You said, hey, you want me to move to left? No problem. Come back to third? You bet. Whatever the team needs, I'm game. 0-1 to Doman. And we generally bring it up in reference, Cowboy. You and I were discussing it daily when there were whispers that maybe the Reds might move Joey Votto a couple of years ago. And I mean, people went, not Joey, but people went crazy around here. Like, how in the world would you ever think about such a thing?
Well, I think anytime that you talk about moving a player like Votto, or an everyday player for that matter, you're going to hit some brick walls.
Nice job by Alfredo Simon. We don't know if he'll get a chance. His spot is due to lead off the bottom of the 7th inning. 1 run in 7 frames for the big man here today. And as we do every Sunday afternoon, this time we will keep it right here for the singing of God Bless America.
Baseball, the Reds and the Braves salute the men and women of our armed forces, as well as those who serve to protect in our local police and fire departments. At this time, please help us honor these brave men and women and all our veterans of service as we welcome Dave Burtis as he leads us in the singing of God Bless America.
God bless America, land that I love. Stand beside her and guide her through the night with the lights from above. From the mountains to the prairies, to the oceans white with foam. God bless America, my home, sweet home. God bless America, my home, sweet home.
photo. Here's tonight's fan photo of the game, brought to you by AT&T. Amy, thank you very much. Good looking picture there at the old ballpark. Braves go to their bullpen for the second time today. Carpenter came on to get the final 2 outs in the 6th inning in place of Aaron Harang. And now the young man who came away as the winning pitcher in the 3-1 12-inning game here on Friday night. We saw him as a starter earlier this year, and my was he impressive. David Hale
had a couple of wins against the Reds this year. One out of the bullpen, one in the rotation. But you're right, Tom. That game down in Atlanta, he was microscopic with his location. Fastball, changeup more times than not. And this guy just was called up out of necessity. He was not a huge prospect for the Braves, but another guy that has had an opportunity, and he has taken full advantage of it.
Now Billy beat on the fastball there, and it's popped up. Hitless day today for Hamilton. 1 away in the inning. Well, on Tuesday, Major League Baseball returns to Fox Sports 1. The Twins will go to division-leading Kansas City. How about the story there with the Royals? Coverage begins at 7:30 Eastern on Fox Sports 1, streaming live on Fox Sports Go.
Hey, if you're going to get on a roll, now's the time to do it. End of August, you're heading into September. This is when you want to be playing good.
Royals have a 3-game lead over the defending divisional champion Detroit Tigers.
Now that is hard to believe.
Tigers playing right now. They're tied at 3. They're in Minnesota. Let's see where Kansas City is playing today. Are they anywhere out on that board? And that one is blasted into left by Frazier. See you later, brother.
That one's on the board. Right off that second level scoreboard.
Home run number 22. That's a team high for the Redlegs off the bat of Todd Frazier. And there we go. Our Nissan drive of the game, indeed, off that scoreboard, the facing of a second deck.
It's called backlegging it. Lean back and let it fly.
5-1 Reds lead. Here's Brandon. A strike. Don't know what's going on out there.
A little excited with this Reds offense today.
I can't help but every single time I ever hear the fireworks go off here, especially when they go off like that. Now, that was accidental, a couple different blast-offs. But that story that Mark Grace tells all the time about Rick Sutcliffe being on the mound at Old Synergy Field, Riverfront Stadium. Rick Sutcliffe on the mound for the Chicago Cubs. Billy Connor, the pitching coach at the time for the Cubs. Reds hit 3 home runs in a row. And Billy Connor came out of the dugout, walked to the mound. Grace came over from first. Rick Sutcliffe looked at Billy Connor and said, "What in the world are you doing coming out here?" He said, "Hey, man, I'm not trying to tell you anything. I'm just giving that poor guy who's lighting the fireworks a little breather."
Oh, man. Give him a little break so he can reload in case you give up another one, partner.
Billy Connor was that kind of guy.
Oh.
And Sutcliffe the kind of guy you could say it to. Two on Brandon, and Hale delivers. Breaking ball, excuse me, swing, and a roller foul. Manny Parra is ready in the Reds bullpen. You have a left-handed batter in Hayward, a right-hander in Goslin, and then a left-hander in Freddie Freeman. And just a thought of anybody else coming into a game when the Reds have the lead in the 8th, it's not Jonathan Broxton. Now, after that home run, it's no longer a save situation. But make no mistake about it. When you're going the way the Reds have been going lately, every game is a save situation here the rest of the way.
And especially with a day off tomorrow. You can believe that Brian Price will sell it out to make sure he gets this one done.
Just shy of 30,000 on hand here today for this very warm and very muggy Sunday afternoon in Cincinnati. We have had so few number of days like we've had the last 3 or 4 that have been hot and muggy, steamy. It's been such a beautiful summer, and well, you forget what summer days are normally like because it's been so cool this year. One and 0 to Mesoraco, and it's pulled foul.
Well, you'd like to see this big fella get on the board before this game's over with.
And a slow breaking ball, and Devin trying to jump all over it, hooks it foul. And that's strike 3 to Mesoraco, 2 away in the inning. One in, 1 on, 2 out, and Jay Bruce a batter. Jay with a couple of base hits today. He had an infield hit, scored a run in the 3-run 4th, single to right, stole a base, scored a run in the 6th inning.
Hardest ball Jay hit today was his first at bat when he lined out to the center fielder B.J. Upton. Otherwise, he'd have a 3-for-3 day.
One and 0 to Bruce, and Hale a glance over his shoulder at Brandon. High bouncer, and the second baseman playing him the pull anyway, and is there to get it, and that'll end the inning. We're on our way to the 8th. Todd Frazier's 22nd home run gives the Reds a 4-1 lead. It's a 5-1 game.
Game is a great deal. For any game against the Chicago Cubs, Tuesday through Thursday this week, buy one ticket in the view level, field box, or mezzanine sections and get a second ticket in the same section for the same game for just $1. Go to Reds.com/FSOhio and get your tickets now. I'm Jim Day, and as you've seen, Brandon Phillips starting to get it going offensively, coming off of thumb surgery. He's told me he's just starting to see the ball well, and it has shown over the past couple of games. Now, I asked him about the pain that he's playing through, and I said, does it hurt every time you swing the bat? He smiled at me and said, I don't know. Translation, yes, it hurts every time I swing. I don't want to say it, though, because people look at that as an excuse. The biggest problem he has, believe it or not, is in the field. When he has to backhand a ball, he says that brings the most pain. So when he's making those terrific backhand plays, just know he's doing it with a little bit of pain involved.
But he's out there, and, you know, we talked a lot about a Cowboy when it came back. You look up the word gamer, Phillips is in that picture somewhere.
I think you're exactly right. And I think there's no more evidence than looking at where Brandon Phillips is standing right now and Yadier Molina. And Yadier Molina is a gamer of gamers, and he's still not back yet. And the injuries happen within 24 hours of each other.
As we talked about, I mean, in fairness to Molina, we know he is a gamer, but that was to his throwing hand. And they say his rehab has a lot to do with being able to get a hold of the baseball to be able to just throw it.
And Molina is in a different spot for that kind of injury. Because if you're a catcher, let's just say it was his left hand, and he had, like Phillips, I mean, he's got to catch the ball with that hand repetitive times. And the thumb is very important, not only with the throwing mechanism, but as a catcher, even more so.
So Manny Parr taking over for Alfredo Simon, who delivers just an outstanding game today. Alfredo gives up 5 hits, 1 run in 7 innings, strikes out 6, walks only 1 batter, and that was an intentional walk. He hit a batter. And in line for his 13th win of the year, if the Reds bullpen can get the final 6 outs. The last time Alfredo Simon won a game, you've got to go back to July the 9th. His final start before the All-Star break. He beat the Chicago Cubs in a 4-1 decision.
Going back to the injury situation one more time, Tom. As a big leaguer, it's going to happen sooner or later. And when you come back from that injury, you're not going to be the same. And how you adjust to what your body's telling you really depends on how your career is going to go from there. I don't care if it's your knee, I don't care if it's your foot, if it's your shoulder or elbow as a pitcher. Things change, and then you have to adjust. And that's not easy, not at this level.
Hayward hanging in there. He has really struggled in his career against left-handed pitching, but he's making Parra work. This will be the 7th pitch in this at-bat leading off the 8th inning.
Yeah, I can only imagine what it's like for Jason Hayward to stand in that batter's box after being hit in the jaw. That's why he wears that pad all the way across in front of that front jaw.
We asked his manager about it yesterday. Have you ever seen, any hint that he may not be right? There's a check swing, and he did not go around. He said nothing. Got hit in the right jaw, broke his jaw by New York Mets left-hander Jonathan Neese. Three and 2 on Hayward.
There may be no outward signs of the jaw issue with Hayward, but you can bet in his head, every time a left-hander comes to the mound, he's got to be thinking about it somewhat.
There's a walk to Hayward to begin the 8th inning.
This is where you can run into problems in a hurry against this Braves lineup. You don't get guys like Hayward and Goslin, and then you got to face Freeman and Upton. One swing of the bat, they are right back in it. You've got to keep away from that. Best medicine for that is a double play ball right here.
Goslin is bounced into a fielder's choice on a great play by Cozart in the 1st inning. He singled to center in the 3rd and struck out in the 6th, and there's ball 1 to Goslin. Phillies still leading the Cardinals. That's a 5-1 game in the 7th inning. Two and 0. And Parr is out there for at least
one more
this batter and one more batter. He walks the leadoff man, and now 2-0 on Goslin. 3-0.
With a 1-run lead, you pitch on the edges. With a 4-run lead, you make them swing the bat.
Brian Price would never admit it, but there's no doubt in my mind he sits down there some nights and says, you got to be kidding. Is it ever going to be easy? You got a 4-run lead, you got 6 outs to go.
You can count on one hand how many games have been a runaway train for the Reds.
They have played 50 one-run games last night. Their 50th of the year. They've lost 31 of those 50 one-run games.
I bet there's been a lot of sleepless nights for that man.
He said it yesterday. He said, you're supposed to get 7 or 8 hours of sleep every night. He said, I'm nowhere near it. He said, but nobody's feeling sorry for you, so. Off the glove of Phillips, that'll trickle into center field. It's a hot smash by Goslin, and Parra is in a boatload of trouble. A walk and a hit after he fell behind. 2-0 to Goslin.
As hard as that ball was hit, I'm surprised even Brandon Phillips was able to get a glove on.
And you wonder, is this another one of those games, Cowboy? We saw it in St. Louis when Chapman was unavailable, where because the closer in this case has been used for 3 games in a row, you're already playing, you know, behind the 8 ball, so to speak, a little bit anyway, the way your club has been going. But you can make a very strong case that there were 2 games in St. Louis that the Reds normally win had they had Aroldis Chapman available in their bullpen because of how Brian Price would have managed the bullpen leading up to the 9th inning.
I think every manager works from the back end of the bullpen forward. You know who you're going to use with a lead late, and you work to that point. And without your closer, things move up a notch. That means some of your middle guys have to pitch late in the game. And when they're not used to it, they tend to put a little bit too much pressure on themselves.
One ball and 1 strike on Freddie Freeman. They'll have to hurry here. There's one, and the throw is offline by Cozart. Been very close. So they get 1 out. And you got to believe that's going to be all for Parra.
That gives us our Mazda pitch by pitch with Freddie Freeman at the plate. First breaking ball hangs high. The next one is a strike. And this is the contact pitch. Fastball down and away. Freeman hooks it. Nice play by Phillips, and the Reds almost get a double play out of it.
Well, you can tell that Chapman, unless something changes in the next 15 or 20 minutes, he is a no-go today. Because Broxton, at the very minimum, had he not started this inning, he'd be the guy coming in right now. Instead, it's Jumbo Diaz. 2 on, 1 out. Reds with a 5-1 lead in the Atlanta 8th. Back in a moment. At Great American Ballpark, Friday, September the 5th. We'll have activities in the Kroger Fan Zone. Be one of the first 20,000 fans and receive a Reds Irish necklace. We'll have the great fireworks show after the game with an Irish-themed soundtrack. That's thanks to Kroger. And home team products. New York Mets will be in town Friday night, September the 5th. Jumbo Diaz came on to get the final out with the bases loaded in the 1-0 win behind Mike Leake in the 7th last night. He comes on with first and third, a 4-run lead in the 8th inning to face Justin Upton. And a fastball just misses, ball 1. .6-mile-per-hour fastball there, and it's 1-1 on Justin Upton.
I think if you're Jumbo Diaz in this situation, especially with Upton at the plate, Upton has a tendency to get a little long sometimes on the fastball. You can beat him with a fastball as long as it's not up and out over the plate. The pitch that Upton will absolutely kill you on is that breaking ball that just spins somewhere in the zone. He's not one of those guys you want to just flip a breaking ball up there for a strike.
No.
Might hit it. He might hit that Toyota truck out there.
Two and one on Upton. Nowhere near the plate. Upton has already set a career high for runs batted in a month. He has 23 of them, bypassing the 22, his prior career high, coming 3 seasons ago with a team he first came to the major leagues with, Arizona. The inning began with a walk. Manny Parra to Jason Hayward, followed by a single, then a fielder's choice, and now it's Diaz 3-1 on Upton. Pretty good confidence in that breaking ball right there, 3-1.
As long as it has some depth to it, it's fine. The one that spins is the one that Upton crushes. But I mean, Upton has always been a hitter that likes the ball away from him. He likes to get extended. Most power hitters do.
Big pitch right here. 3-2 on Justin Upton. Struck him out with a 98-mile-per-hour fastball. How about that?
Diaz comes back. He forgets about the name on the back of the jersey of the batter at the plate, and he goes right at him. The 3-1 breaking ball, and that's a blue bayou.
You're breaking out all the dandies today. We got the Louisiana breakdown, and now the blue bayou, and here comes Chris Johnson. First pitch slider in there, a strike. You know the one you haven't broken out in a while?
What?
Oh, the old skipper from Major League. Walked out. That was 97, 1-1.
Throw him the heater, Ricky. Jumbo will throw him the heater now.
One and one on Johnson. 2 on, 2 out in the Atlanta 8th. And another slider. Oh, that kind of location, that is a devastating combination. 97, 98 with a fastball, and then this slider.
You see where the ball starts, down in the zone, and following a 96 to 99 mile an hour fastball. I don't care what kind of hitter you are. If the ball's down there, you have a tough time deciphering the velocity of the pitch.
Trying to put away Johnson is Jumbo Diaz. And he does on gas at 98. The big man, Jumbo. Look at that, cowboy. Gas.
That's the heater.
in the bottom of the 8th inning. The Reds with a 5-1 lead. Hale still out there for Atlanta. They gave up a solo home run to Todd Frazier. You know, when you're going like the Reds have been going on offense, you know, one of the great Reds fans, we see him all the time, lives just outside of Indianapolis. I'm gonna leave his name off the air because I did not ask him permission. That one popped up in the foul ground. But Cowboy, when they were having all the misfires out there on the fireworks, and they were late to get to him, and they blew him off one time and they blew him off again. This friend of ours, and I say that plurally right, hey, that guy's a little out of practice the way it's been going. Give him a break.
Well, you just have to believe, Tom, and you have to hope that the 1-0 Reds win last night gave them a little bit more confidence coming into today, a little more comfortability on the field. Everybody can settle down. Nobody likes going through a losing streak, but you have to hope that they can hold on to this ball game. An off day tomorrow, you can enjoy your time and come back and play in Pittsburgh with some passion and with some confidence.
Fly by ball Pena, and Upton will run it down, 2 away. Very first inning, second batter of the game, our John Morrell hot dog play. You never know how big this play might turn out to be in this game. If Kozar doesn't get to that and get the forced play at second, it's first and second and nobody out for the Braves in the very first inning.
Yeah, you see Phillips and Kozar out there. It's almost like a good marriage. They know what the other one's doing, sometimes before the other one knows what he's doing. They seem to be in sync all the time.
1-0 on Zach Kozar. Milwaukee leading the Pirates. That game in the bottom of the 6th inning, 4-2 the score. The Nationals are trailing the Giants 6-3. And the Cardinals getting drubbed by Philadelphia 7-1. Miami will be in action later today in Denver. Reds have Logan Ondrusek up and throwing in their bullpen. It obviously is not a save situation. Ondrusek has been very impressive his last couple of times out. That one driven hard into right center field, and it will hit off the wall. Kozar's going to end up at third. It's almost like B.J. Upton gave up on that ball.
Upton thought the ball was out of the ballpark. He looked up once, looked up again, and then went into coast mode, and as the ball hit the wall, it surprised him. Fastball up and out over the plate. Well, that's a good shot right there. Watch Upton here. Just kind of stops, gives up. I mean, with his leaping ability, he actually would have had a chance to go get that ball, but he just gave up on it.
So now Jack Hanahan will come on to bat for Jumbo Diaz, and what a great job again by Diaz. He comes on first and third with 1 out and proceeds to blow away Upton and Johnson, striking both of them out and maintaining this 5-1 lead. Hanahan got a rare start in the game here last night. And Jack had 1 hit and 3 at bats. Braves will have the bottom part of their batting order coming up. in the 9th inning. They'll have 6, 7, 8, Gaddis, La Stella, and B.J. Upton. One and two the count. Now to 2-2, and it swung on and missed to end the inning. Go to the 9th. Reds in front, 5-1.
Down the game and brings you the first interviews with manager Brian Price and the players. Reds Live is brought to you by Performance Kings Honda. Pitching has been on the money. Alfredo Simon started it, and boy, did he look fabulous today. This is the best we have seen Alfredo Simon really since his last start before the All-Star break. And Jumbo Diaz, when you talk about coming out of the bullpen and throwing some gas, punched out two batters, Upton and Johnson, in back-to-back fashion. 98 down and away. See ya.
Hey, big news, by the way, going on right now at Wrigley Field in Chicago, where the Cubs have really taken it to the Baltimore Orioles. The AL East leading Orioles over the weekend in Chicago, trying to make it 3 wins in a row. And Tsuyoshi Wada of the Cubs is throwing a no-hitter through 6 innings in that game today.
Now, is that the same pitcher that was with the Brewers pitching out of their bullpen and then the Cubs?
No, this was a guy they picked him up from the Baltimore Orioles. The Orioles had signed him to a big, huge free agent deal.
Then he had Tommy John.
He got hurt. Okay. That's right. We saw him earlier this year here when he threw the ball so well. Remember that?
Yes.
Well, the Reds will not be seeing Mr. Wada during that 3-game series, which begins on Tuesday night.
I imagine we'll see Javier Baez.
Andrusik has come in and fallen behind 3-0. Andrusik, 2 perfect innings and looked really good in the series opener. And the outing before that in St. Louis, he worked a perfect scoreless inning. Of course, he got kicked around in the first game of that Cardinal series, and this one is launched to left field, and it is gone, a home run. off the bat of Evan Gattis. And now all of a sudden this is a save situation. And do the Reds have to get Jonathan Broxton up and throwing? And the answer is yes.
Broxton was up as soon as Andrusic went 2-0. The big fella started heating up in a hurry. Well, that home run for Gattis gets a fastball right down Broadway, and this is what he does. Reverse that baby like he knew it was coming, and he probably did. 20 home runs now for Gattis. That ties him with Mesoraco for the National League lead for catchers.
Well, now you fall behind ball 1 to La Stella, and Mesoraco says, let's talk about this and perhaps give Broxton a little more time to get loose. One and 0 the count. Boy. 2-0. Well, Andrusic has one more pitch left in him. If it's ball 4, he's out of the game. And he comes back with a fastball at 93 right down the middle, and it's 3-2. Bobbled by Pena, and they still get the out. That's well done by both Pena and Andrusic. Logan coming back after falling behind 3-1. And then after Pena bobbled, Logan just settled in and waited on Pena to get it together.
Andrusic, the key to this play, he was in a dead sprint to first base. He got there early. It allowed him to get the right foot to the bag, settle down a little bit. That way he was able to stretch towards his left on the throw from Brian Pena.
Simon, the pitcher of record for the Redlegs. It would be win number 13 on the year, and his first since July, as we brought up earlier. Harang, the pitcher of record for Atlanta. No save involved here, although Andrusic trying to get the final 3 outs of the afternoon and give the Reds back-to-back wins in this series. Boy, make no mistake, Freddie Gonzalez said, hey, look, I do look at the scoreboard every now and again. I'm not staring at it. But you can rest assured he knows that giant 6-2 lead over the Washington Nationals has disappeared. It is a 6-6 game with the Nationals still batting. Atlanta 7 games behind the Nationals in the National League East. That ties for the widest margin between first and second place in any division in baseball, the other being the American League East, where Baltimore has just run away from everyone. 7 games better than the Yankees. Strike 3 call to B.J. Upton.
Andrusic gives him a split-fingered fastball. And that just paralyzed B.J. Upton. You can see him jump back. That was right on the money.
So 1 more out to go. We're going to get a look at Emilio Bonifacio. Of course, we'll see his former team beginning Tuesday night. And again, tickets are available. If you haven't been with us all day long, Reds.com/FS Ohio, and you can buy a ticket in one of 3 different sections around the ballpark. And if you buy the ticket, you get the second ticket for $1. But you got to get on the horn right now, and I mean right now, to quote the Cowboy. 0-2 on Bonifacio. I mean, rat now. Let me hear one, Cowboy.
Rat now.
Rat. Like our entire production team is that one is swung on and fouled out of play. Our producer Josh Hall, our director Mr. Roy Alfers. Matt Sigafus, our associate producer, along with Lauren White. Reds Live produced by Kent Weaver. Thank Jesse Jackson, Jim Strickler, Joel Luckup, our statistician up here in the booth, Dickie Moss in audio, and even my main man Luke Brenneman hanging up here and being a pretty good boy today. I got to give it up to the old fella, or the young fella. Young fella. Kicked by Andrusik, and that'll just die in the infield grass. And that'll be a base hit for Bonifacio.
Hit right back up the middle. And Andrusik puts that back foot out, the left foot. And it looks like we may see Jonathan Broxton either way.
Two-thirds of an inning for Logan Andrusik. Allows a couple of hits, a strikeout, and one run. Broxton will come on to try and get the final out of the game, and it would be a save for Jonathan Broxton, with the Reds leading by 3. We'll be back. Familiar face, former Red Travis Wood will be opposed by his one-time teammate Johnny Cueto, who will be looking for win number 16. And Reds Live gets underway at 6:30. We invite you to join us. Our game coverage starts at 7.
Cubs are playing probably as good as they've played all year long coming into Cincinnati.
Jason Hayward, the batter. Runner takes off for second. It's ball 1. There's the man you're coming after. You don't want to see that tying run at the plate. Gosselin on deck. And a base hit into right field will bring in another Atlanta run. Bonifacio scores. And the tying run will come to the plate.
we've seen from Goslin throughout this entire ball game. Trying to hit the ball back up the middle. That's his approach. He's got a couple of singles to show for it. Probably would have 3 if not for the phenomenal play by Cozart all the way back in the first inning.
Alrighty, it's a 2-run ball game. 5-3 our score. And it's strike 1 from Jonathan Broxton. And again, the Reds are without their closer. And you wonder how much of that has to do with Aroldis Chapman pitching 2 innings in that game the other night. And you find no fault in that whatsoever with Brian Price. I mean, Chapman had only pitched 1 time in nearly a week. Runner takes off for second base, and that is just off the outside corner. That was a game that wound up in 12 innings. Chapman covering in that ball game what the 9th and 10th innings, and threw more pitches than he had in any outing in his major league career. Almost 40 of them. Came back with a perfect 9th to nail down the 1-0 lead last night. 1-2 to Goslin, so now Broxton has him around the neck.
You can bet your bottom dollar that Broxton was going to go after Goslin. Guy over there in the on deck circle, you do not want him coming to the plate at all in this inning.
Two on Goslin, and Broxton the pause. Big deep breath, and here it comes. Just off the corner.
Breaking ball starts right on the edge and then gets off. Broxton trying to get the youngster to chase that pitch with a runner at second base. Goslin's been pretty good against right-handed pitching. .313 coming into today.
Well, you talked about wanting to come after Goslin, yet after getting ahead in the count 1-2, 2-2, you throw another breaking ball away from him. So, you know, if you're Goslin, and you hear from a lot of people you don't want to stand up there and be a guest hitter. But boy, if you had to wager a lot of money, if you're Goslin at that plate light right now, knowing the situation, gas is coming here from Broxton. He got gas at 94 and fouled it back out of play. You surprised by that 2-2 breaking ball or no?
No, because I think the other pitch was, the previous pitch was awfully close, and I think that's what Broxton was trying to do, was get a strike on the outside corner. Just held on to it a little bit too long.
Broxton trying to nail it down. 3-2 pitch on Goslin. And another foul ball out of play on another fastball. That one at 95 from Broxton.
I think Broxton feels like he can throw any pitch for a strike at any time. Now, obviously, that doesn't happen all the time, but that's the confidence that he has. And that's one of the reasons he's got a 1.37 ERA.
Broxton looking for save number 7. He was a closer before Chapman came back this year off the DL. And he has just walked Goslin to get to one of the best hitters in all of baseball, Freddie Freeman.
Now, this man is the best hitter in this Braves lineup with runners in scoring position. Right at the 313 mark.
Well, you're walking into the top of the 9th inning with a 4-run lead. It is 5-1 with the latter part of the batting order coming up. You fall behind, bang, home run. Fall behind again, you come back to get to 3-2, you get an out. You strike out a batter, then have some bad luck on a ground ball through the middle that Logan Andrusik kicked that turned into an infield hit. But in comes Brockton, single, followed by a walk, and now Freeman representing the go-ahead run. And it's ball 1 to him. No Aroldis Chapman today to bail you out. It's got to be a combination of somebody else. Two-0. There is not a soul behind Broxton getting ready in the Reds bullpen. It will be win, lose, or draw with him on the mound.
Well, the problem here is if you don't get Freeman, you put Goslin at second. He's the tying run, and he'll be in scoring position. Oh boy.
I mean, none of the four anywhere near the plate. Not one of them. Well, I don't know what Jeff Pico is going to say to Jonathan Broxton. This will be the 5th batter to come to the plate, representing the final out in this 9th inning.
And I think if you're Brian Price, with the lead that the Reds had coming into this inning, a 5-1 ball game, you're really trying to stay away from Broxton if you could. Let Andrusik finish it. It just didn't happen. Now you've got yourself a nail biter.
Well, now the Reds have Sam LeCure beginning to throw in the bullpen. This is the 3rd day in a row Broxton has pitched, but his outings have been 1-inning stints over the last couple of days. And he will now face Justin Upton with the bases loaded. Reds lead by 2. 2 outs, top of the 9th inning. I'm starting to say that Upton is going to come out of his shoes if that first pitch was in the strike zone, and boy did he ever. That was one hardy cut.
Well, again, as I said earlier, the fastball Upton gets a little bit long on, and you could see Broxton run the ball in on his hand.
One precious out. It's what the Reds are looking for right here and right now. 0-1 on Justin Upton. Strike 2.
Came in with the first one, went away with the second one. Look where those pitches are, right on the edges.
Jonathan now trying to seal the deal. No balls and 2 strikes on Justin Upton. There's very little doubt that Broxton's velocity has come back as this season has moved forward. Wasn't throwing nearly as hard at the beginning of the year. That last fastball at 97 miles per hour. Bounce to Brandon, and the game is over. Broxton does indeed nail it down. And the Reds, after losing the first 2 games in this series, ended a 7-game losing streak, 1-0 here last night. They get great starting pitching today by Alfredo Simon. And Cowboy back-to-back wins.
Well, if you're Jonathan Broxton, you can have a little crack in the door as long as you can slam it when you need to.
So that's the old ball game. Reds are 5-3 winners here today. We'll be back with more in just a moment.